Welcome back, we the people. Let us continue to read from the book of Revelations, also known as the Holy Injiyl, as translated by Master Linguist, Dr. Malachi Z. York. Let us continue to try and heal the world, people, with what we know has already come to pass and what we know is coming. We do this by speaking the truth and dealing with right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, leading to sound, right reasoning. Chapter 8, headed "The Second Trumpet Sounds and Bombs are Cast onto the Earth." The King James mistranslation. "And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood." Close quotation. Dr. York's translation for this day and time. "And the second Elohim, the cherubim, destruction blew his trumpet." Let me read that again. "And the second Elohim, the cherubim of destruction, blew his trumpet, and the likeness of a great mountain building, such as skyscrapers, will tumble at the disaster of war, burning up with fire, was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became bloody." Verse 9, King James mistranslation. "And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed." Close quotation. Dr. York's translation for this day and time. This is chapter 8, verse 9. "And the third of the battleships, submarines, and boats, which are living things of the sea, which had spirit, were dead, and a third of the crafts were broken up and destroyed by the battle." Verse 10, heading, "Absinthus falls from heaven, the stars are smitten, the next three trumpets are yet to sound, and let loose the wraths of Theos on man." Verse 10, King James mistranslation. "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters." Dr. York's translation for this day and time. "And the third Elohim, that was a cherubim of destruction, blew his trumpet, and there was cast from Orion's skies a great star, bright like a lamp of fire, being the plague of germ warfare. It affected the bodies of water on the planet Earth. It was cast upon a third of the rivers and affected all the springs of the waters, making the supply of fresh water limited." Verse 11, King James Version. "And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter." Close quotation. Translation for this day and time by Dr. York. "And the star's name bitterness," in quotation, "and the third of the waters became bitter, poisoned from germ warfare, and many people died because the waters became bitter. They were unsafe to drink due to its contamination." Verse 12, King James mistranslation. "And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise." Close quotation. Dr. York's translation for this day and time. And the fourth Elohim, who was a cherubim to bring destruction, blew his trumpet. And this plague brought a disturbance of galactical bodies. And the third of the sun became eclipsed. This was a solar eclipse. And a third of the moon and a third of the stars, so that their lights lost a third part of their day, which is 8 hours. The solar system was shaken, diverting from the normal pattern of functioning. Stars fell out of their orbits, and the sun and moon merged together. If the sun and moon become one in perfect alignment, the ultimate or final disruption of the solar system will occur. This solar eclipse does not permit the sun to give light of the planet Earth. There was no light for a third of the day, equaling 4 hours, and a third of the shadow hour, equaling 8 hours. Verse 13. King James. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Correct translation for this day and time by Dr. York. And I, John, son of Zebedee and Salome, saw and heard the voice of one, the messenger Malachi Zadok, flying in the midst of the skies, saying in a supreme voice, in quotations, Plague, plague, plague. 3 more plagues are destined to strike upon all who live on the planet Earth, because of the rest of the voices of the three arch messengers, who are determined to blow their trumpets to release the remaining plagues. Reading on, chapter 9. The fifth messenger sounds. This is the heading for chapter 9. The fifth messenger sounds, and the star falls from heaven to earth. This is the beginning of the nuclear war. The bottomless pit is opened, and locusts come out from the earth. Second heading, the horror. This is chapter 9, verse 1 of Revelation. King James Version. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Close quotation. Dr. York's translation for this day and time from the ancient scriptures in their original language. And the fifth cherubim of destruction of the seventh Anunnaki, Elohim, blew his trumpet, signaling the beginning of the fifth plague. And I, John, son of Salome and Zebedee, saw an atomic bomb, which I, John, interpreted as a light like a meteorite, a star from the Orion skies, 6-star constellation, upon the planet Earth. And it was given the key of the bottomless pit, being able to open up the earth. When the bomb exploded in the earth, it threw off blasts of power, appearing like fire and brimstone, because people believed that hell was in the earth. That's how it's recorded by John. Chapter 9, verse 2. The King James mistranslation. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Close quotation. Dr. York's right translation for this day and time. So the atomic bomb that was first introduced by the malevolent beings into the New Babylon, in brackets, America, close brackets, in 1945 AD, Russia in 1949 AD, Great Britain in 1951 AD, and finally France. One of the heads of the beast in 1968 AD that opened the bottomless pit, making a hole in the planet Earth all the way to the center, and out of the pit ascended like a dust cloud, a mushroom smoke from the bomb that can reach as high as 32,000 feet high, just like the dust cloud of a great furnace. And the Apsu sun was darkened by the smoke, and the air was dense with smoke because of the dust cloud of the pit. And the smoke or dust that arose from the pit that blackened the skies was the result of 1,000 exploded oil wells set in the Middle East by Saddam Hussein's president of Iraq military forces on March 2nd, 1991 AD, and continued to burn up until October 1991 AD. As a result of the clouds were covered with an oil-like substance that caused many people to have respiratory problems like oil pneumonia, where the oil smothers the tiny air sacs in the lungs, and the air was dense with the smoke of the oil wells of the Arab world and the fallout from the bomb's dust. Now that's the kind of translation that we can make sense of for this day and time. Continuing to read on. This is verse 3, chapter 9, verse 3. Headed, John sees the warplanes, which is being interpreted as locusts and scorpions. King James translation. Let us move on to the next recording, people. Also, I'll see you on the other side.